Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Metal Shop. And we're on to part 2 of the Chandler Explorer build. That's what we're going to call this project here, the Chandler Explorer. And I did a little bit of research into Chandler, not knowing much about it, about the company. I knew that they sold parts back in the day, and I know that we all remember the Chandler Tube Overdrive. That was a big overdrive that had an actual 12AX7 tube in it, and it had to plug into 120 volt power, no battery. Those you can still pick up. I never played one. I always wanted one, but it was kind of, even back in the day, I think they were $299 or $199. They seem to sell in the $300 range now. So the Chandler stuff has kept its value or increased its value. These necks sold for roughly 200 bucks, $199 for most Chandler necks, and they have all approximately doubled in value because try and find a nice 80s Jackson headstock neck or a hockey stick banana headstock neck like this one from the 80s at a decent price. You're not going to. So Chandler made you could build guitars from their parts catalog. They had painted bodies, they had necks, they had volume pots, they had switches, they had knobs, they had tuners, they had bridges. You could get a Tunematic. All these bridges were from Goto that they sold. You could get a Tunematic, you get a Tele style bridge, you get a Strat vintage style bridge. I think you could get colors, black, so on. They sold pickups. They were one of the dealers of PJ Marks pickups, and they also sold Jackson pickups back in the day. So you could get everything to build a guitar. And in those days, there were parts companies like Warmoth, and Warmoth would sell you in the 80s. All their stuff was unfinished. The bodies were unfinished, mostly Strat bodies, Tele bodies. They started dabbling into, some Flying V's and some Explorers later. But I have to be honest, and I've used Warmoth stuff, top notch. It's great stuff, but it wasn't cool. Okay, back in the day, they didn't sell pointy Flying V's, like the Rhodes. You couldn't get a soloist body shape. Again, you can now, but back in the day, you couldn't. And Chandler offered their body shapes. You could get a Strat body shape, but you could also get basically a soloist body shape, and they sold painted bodies. Like I said, everybody else sold unfinished. Chandler sold finished bodies, and you could get shocking pink. You could get the light pink that like Brad Gillis played in that video. If you guys watched that, it was called champagne pink. You could get Corvette yellow. You could get Porsche red. They had an orange. Of course, you could get black, white. You could get Sonic blue. I think they had 14 different colors, pretty reasonably priced. So you could get yourself all the parts to build a guitar for probably 500 bucks or so. Pretty cool company. And Paul Chandler's still on Facebook, and I know that he has an attorney that still works for him that shuts down people that make his logos. So don't tell on me for getting that one, but I put a Chandler on a Chandler. I don't think he'd have a problem with that, but he doesn't like his logos being sold aftermarket. So what are we doing today? This is a really nice board. It is rosewood, but it is such a tight, nice grain. You just don't see quality like this anymore. If you get an ebony board today with this tight a grain and this quality, it's nothing short of amazing. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to go to a time lapse, and we're going to clean this. I've got a good old toothbrush. Here I've got some, well, it's lukewarm now. It started as a little warmer than that. Soap and water, and there's Dawn in there. Just like Dawn is, chemically formulated to cut grease. This finger cheese is all grease and oils and stuff, schmutz from your hand. So we're going to scrub this, clean it, just a good old paper towel. We're going to treat it after with Dunlop lemon oil, and people bitch about this stuff saying, oh, it's just linseed oil with lemon scent or whatever. I don't care. This is not that expensive. It comes in a nice applicator. I like the lemon scent. This is good stuff. I don't see what the bitch is. This thing is not even 3/4, and I can't even tell you how many guitar necks that I have treated with this. So yeah, let's take you to the time lapse and get this neck clean. Oh, I made a template off the body so that I could drill my neck plate for the strap button. And thankfully I went to mark it. I'm like, oh, there's already tape on here. So I marked and center punched this really nice relic gold neck plate that I have, but I have to drill it for the strap button. And there's already a hole in the body, so I figure I'll do that, and I'm not going to move it other places. I like this on a Star and Explorer mounted right to the neck plate. So we're going to do that as well. All right, let's get to scrubbing. All right, well, got the neck cleaned, got the frets polished, a light polish. I just used Never Dull, and you saw me use the buffing wheel there on the Dremel tool. Nothing, you know, I have the little metal things that you put down over the frets, and you can use metal polish, and you can really go crazy. I'll be honest with you, I don't like my frets shine to a mirror slick gloss. I like them a little dirty, a little bit corroded. You can bite in a little bit, you know, within reason. You still want to be able to slide, but I don't want them like glass. That's just me. And look, we can see all the nastiness. That water turned to gunk pretty quickly. Some of that's from the buffing, but yeah, most of that is just the finger schmutz that came off there. I wanted to leave the time lapse going so you guys could watch the oil soak in. It is soaking in. I can start to see it drying in spots, but it's going to take a while. And I leave it on there for a while. Some guys say you put it on there, leave it on there for 5 minutes, and you wipe it off. No, I will let it soak in, especially an old neck like this. And the majority of it will soak in, and maybe even then a second coat. And if it doesn't soak in, whatever doesn't soak in overnight, over many hours, I'll just buff it. So that's what I'm going to do. Hang on 1 second here while we set this aside. Ugh, let's get rid of this too. Gross. So my template did come in. Let's get rid of these neck screws. Here, I left them in there. My template did come in, but it was too small. I have larger one on order. When I thought I might do this, I believe this is the perfect size to what I had in my head. And yeah, I was thinking 4-inch, and this is about 3 3/4. So maybe what I'll do is I will cut this out, stick this on here just as a placeholder until my template comes in, and then try and my hand at diagramming and setting up the rising sun there. I do have some, and this just happens to be yellow because I had it for a different project, but this is like fine line tape, so I'll use this because this is actually perfect. I have some real nice the blue 3M fine line tape, but I'm running out of it, and this will do the trick again. And I want it to look relic, so if a line isn't perfect and it bleeds in under the edge, then that's exactly what I'm looking for anyway. So maybe we'll go into another time lapse, and this needs to be cleaned a little bit. Again, I don't care, but I don't, paint's not going to stick to dirt, so I'll give this a quick clean first thing in the time lapse, and then we'll start diagramming out our rising sun. So yeah, let's go to another time lapse. All right, well, I had to take a little pause there, going a little stir crazy, and took a dinner break with the family. Nice. So yeah, this is coming out pretty good. We still got to tape the little bits up to here where the 3/4 inch tape will not reach. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to use. I may end up using that the yellow tape just to just to fill in there. That may be the way to do it. I had to decide what I wanted black, what I wanted yellow. So what I did was I did it here where the stripes were the largest, and I decided that I wanted a little bit more yellow than black. So these huge stripes here, this will be yellow. Obviously, this will stay black. That was how I made that decision. Anyway, let's take you back to the time lapse, and we'll get this tape job finished up. Not sure when I'm going to paint it. It's not going to be right away, but yeah, we're going to get it all taped up. Cool. All right, well, got the thing all taped off. I wanted to show, I hope you're not going to really see in the time lapse, this did start to dry, and it's already starting to dry some more, if you notice at this end. So it is soaking that all in. I would probably, due to the length of time that it's taken to absorb, I don't think it's going to need a second coat. I will let this sit overnight and then give it a quick buff sometime tomorrow. Pretty happy with the results on how that turned out. Even more happy with how this turned out. Couple little tips. You see me every time I see it. Your tape in certain spots is going to want to lift. And before you paint, you're going to want to go over every tape joint and make sure that it is sticking down good. Otherwise, the paint is going to go right under it. Now, I want this to be a little bit relic-y. I may even sand back the yellow, to make them look like they're faded and they're wearing away. That remains to be seen. This is not going to be perfect. I know myself, once I put on the paint, I'll probably go heavy and the stripes will be perfect-ish. But I'm going to really try and get this all in, maybe 2 coats, like a dust coat and then just one, complete coat, or maybe just 1 coat, depending on how it lays out. I will clean the black areas with, you saw me clean it previously with glass cleaner, and this is a tip I got from my friend who owns a body shop, and he cleans parts that he's painting down with glass cleaner and lint free. He has a whole roll of lint free. It's not paper towels, but it's lint free paper, basically, absorbent paper that he uses, and then he'll use a tack cloth and everything else. I don't really care too much about that, but I will go over this. Oh, and what I'm going to do is, so you notice the back is kind of just a mess, just kind of willy-nilly, and I don't care about that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of things that are roughly the same size, and I'm going to set the body on it like this, flat-wise, to paint it, okay? So, and I'm not going to mask off the back. I'm going to paint the top, I'm going to paint the sides, and however the paint lays onto the back is how it's going to lay. So that, it'll be kind of a little dusty or a little whatever. I have another guitar that GMW painted for me years ago, and it's a black and yellow Rising Sun. And I said I want the stripes to roll over the top. Now, they wanted to charge me, if I wanted the graphic on front and back, they were going to charge me double. They didn't charge me anything to have the stripes wrap over. But what they did was, on Dan Lawrence, is he had an edge. He had taped off an edge here. So it can't roll over the back, but there was a distinct line. I don't really care about that. As you can see, I didn't, mess with the the black paint at all, left the chips in it. So yeah, we're gonna set this up. We're gonna paint it flat. We're gonna clean it really good. I also use isopropyl rubbing alcohol just to make sure there's no fingerprints, no oils left on. Not that it really matters in this case, but I'm gonna do the isopropyl. I'm gonna do the glass cleaner, clean it really good. We're gonna prop it up. We're gonna paint this yellow, and I will take you along with me, but that is gonna have to wait until the next video. We've got enough work done on this project so far. So as always, my friends, truly do appreciate your support. Thanks so much for the view. Please hit me up in the comments. Still respond to all my comments. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Hit me with the thumbs up. It helps really helps the algorithm to recommend my videos. Like I said, I say it every time. Truly do appreciate your support, my friends. Take care. This is the Chandler Explorer Nuclear Danger Radiation Explorer project.